The bulky human needed a place to stay. The alien woman said, "It'll be a tight squeeze, but come in." The blizzard on Kella was unlike anything Elon Gray had experienced in his 15 years of interplanetary exploration. Wind howled like a wounded beast, driving ice crystals that cut like microscopic daggers against any exposed skin. The temperature had plummeted well below what his environmental suit could comfortably handle, its heating elements struggling against the planet's merciless winter. "Just a bit further, Frost," Elon encouraged his companion, the massive white Samoyed padding faithfully beside him. The dog's thick coat was better suited to these conditions than his own gear. But even Frost was beginning to show signs of distress, his usual bouncy gait reduced to a determined trudge. Elon's broad shoulders hunched against the gale as he squinted through the swirling white. His 6'5" frame, packed with muscle from years of high-gravity training, usually made him feel invincible. Not today. Today, he felt every bit the vulnerable human he was, stranded on this godforsaken ice ball after his scout ship's navigation system had malfunctioned during atmospheric entry. The emergency beacon was transmitting, but in this storm, rescue could be days away. Days he didn't have. "There!" The word escaped in a cloud of vapor as Elon spotted a faint glow through the whiteout. A structure, artificial, not natural, stood as a solitary sentinel in the frozen wasteland. Hope surged through his veins, giving his exhausted legs new strength. Frost seemed to sense it too, picking up his pace as they altered course toward the light. As they drew closer, the building materialized, a curious blend of alien architecture and practical design. Smooth curves melded with angular surfaces, creating a structure that somehow looked both ancient and futuristic. Soft blue light emanated from what appeared to be windows, cutting through the blinding white of the storm. Elon pounded on what he hoped was the door, his gloved fist making dull thuds against the unfamiliar material. Frost whined anxiously at his side. "Just a moment," came a melodic voice from within, followed by the sound of locks disengaging. The door slid open, and Elon found himself staring at the most striking woman, no, not woman, female alien, he had ever encountered. Her skin was a vivid azure, almost luminescent in the dim light. Silver white hair cascaded down her shoulders, framing a face with features just familiar enough to be beautiful, yet alien enough to be exotic. Her eyes, silver as starlight, regarded him with calm curiosity. She wore a form-fitting outfit that seemed entirely inadequate for the brutal climate. A crop jacket with a high collar and mini shorts paired with tall white boots that matched her hair. Despite the sub-zero temperatures, she showed no signs of discomfort. "It'll be a tight fit, but come in," she said, stepping aside. Her voice carried no trace of surprise, as if storm-battered humans regularly appeared at her doorstep. Elon ducked through the entrance, Frost following closely. The interior was warm, blissfully, wonderfully warm, and considerably smaller than it had appeared from outside. The single room served as living quarters, kitchen, and workspace all in one, with various alien technologies humming quietly along the walls. "Thank you," Elon managed through chattering teeth. "We would have died out there." "Yes," she agreed simply, closing the door against the howling storm. "You would have." She moved with fluid grace to a panel on the wall, adjusting something that made the room even warmer. "I'm Nylary. This is my research outpost. Elon Gray, and this is Frost." The dog shook vigorously, sending snow and ice flying in all directions. Nylary didn't flinch as tiny ice particles landed on her blue skin. Instead, she knelt to Frost's level, extending a slender hand. The dog sniffed cautiously before giving her fingers an approving lick. "Your companion has excellent judgment," she said, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "You may remove your outer garments. There are thermal blankets in the storage compartment." She pointed to a recessed panel in the wall. As Elon peeled off his frozen gear, he couldn't help but notice Nylary watching him with undisguised interest. Her gaze lingered on his broad chest and powerful arms as they emerged from the protective layers. "Human physiology is fascinating," she commented, not bothering to hide her appraisal. "So much muscle mass. Inefficient for heat conservation, yet undeniably impressive." Elon felt a flush that had nothing to do with the change in temperature. "Thanks, I think." He wrapped a thermal blanket around his shoulders. "You don't seem surprised to see a human out here." "Kella's pretty far from Alliance space." I've been expecting you, Nilari said, turning to a small cooking unit. Tea? Elon blinked in confusion. Expecting me? How? My ship crashed. I wasn't even supposed to be in this sector. Nilari poured a steaming liquid into 2 cups. Perhaps expecting is the wrong word. Anticipating might be more accurate. She handed him a cup. Drink. It will help restore your core temperature. The liquid was sweet with an herbal undertone, instantly warming him from the inside. As the heat spread through his body, Elon studied his mysterious host more carefully. There was something about her that didn't quite add up. Her isolation, her lack of surprise, the way she seemed to know exactly what he needed. You're not just a researcher, are you? He asked. Nilari's silver eyes met his, and for a moment Elon felt as if she were looking straight through him, seeing things no one else could. We all have our secrets, Elon Gray, she said softly. Some are worth dying for. Others, she glanced meaningfully at the raging storm outside. Others are worth living for. The blizzard's howl intensified as night descended on Kella, the wind shrieking with an almost sentient fury. Elon stood by the single window, watching ice crystals form intricate patterns on the transparent material. Patterns too regular, too deliberate to be natural. This isn't a normal storm, he said, turning to face Nilari. And I'm guessing my ship didn't just happen to malfunction? Nilari's silver eyes gleamed in the dim light as she approached him. You're more perceptive than most humans I've studied. She stood close enough that he could feel the unusual warmth radiating from her blue skin. Yes, I manipulated the atmospheric conditions to create a localized disruption field. Your navigation systems never stood a chance. Instead of the anger he expected to feel, Elon found himself intrigued. You brought down my ship? Why? I needed you. Her voice was matter-of-fact, but her eyes traveled over his broad chest and powerful arms with unmistakable appreciation. More specifically, I needed a human. Your species possesses unique biological properties not found anywhere else in the known galaxy. Elon raised an eyebrow. And you couldn't just, I don't know, send an invitation? A smile played at the corners of her mouth. Would you have come to an uncharted research station on a frozen planet at the edge of explored space? Fair point, he conceded. Frost patted over and settled at his feet, seemingly unconcerned by their host's confession. So what's so special about humans that you'd risk killing me to get one? Nilari moved to a control panel and pressed several symbols. A holographic display appeared, showing complex molecular structures rotating slowly in the air between them. My people, the Kellerites, are facing extinction, she explained, a genetic degradation that's accelerated with each generation. We've tried everything, a genetic manipulation, synthetic biology, even merging with artificial intelligence. Her voice tightened. Nothing works. And humans are the answer somehow. Your DNA contains something we call resilience markers, genetic sequences that allow for rapid adaptation and recovery. She gestured to the display. We've observed how quickly humans heal, how you adapt to almost any environment, how your species bounces back from disasters that would exterminate others. Elon watched her, noting the subtle shifts in her expression. Determination mingled with desperation. You could have just asked the Alliance for help. The Alliance? Nilari's laugh was bitter. They've quarantined this entire sector. Any Kellerite who reveals themselves is immediately detained for study. We're not considered people to them, just interesting specimens. The revelation struck Elon hard. The Alliance, his employers, had always presented themselves as benevolent explorers. This darker side was something he'd never encountered in his 15 years of service. I'm sorry, he said softly. I didn't know. Nilari's expression softened. Of course you didn't. They wouldn't tell their foot soldiers about the atrocities committed in the name of scientific advancement. She moved closer, and Elon became acutely aware of her presence, the subtle scent like cinnamon and ozone, the graceful way she carried herself, the heat emanating from her azure skin. I need your help, Elon Gray, she said, her voice dropping to a near whisper. I need your genetic material to complete a ritual that could save my people. My genetic material, he repeated, suddenly understanding the intensity of her gaze. You mean... Yes, She placed a hand on his chest, the warmth of her touch penetrating his thin shirt. The ritual requires a physical union. My people believe that the exchange of energies during intimacy enhances genetic compatibility. Elon swallowed hard, his heart rate accelerating. That's quite a request from someone who just crashed my ship. Nilari's lips curved into a smile. Would it help if I said I'm genuinely attracted to you? Your species has always fascinated me, but you... Her fingers traced the contours of his chest. You exceed all my research parameters. Despite himself, Elon laughed. That might be the strangest compliment I've ever received. Is that a no? Her silver eyes held his, challenging and vulnerable all at once. I didn't say that. His voice was rougher than he intended. But I need to know everything first. What exactly is this ritual? What are the risks? And most importantly, he gently caught her wrist as her hand began to wander lower. What happens after? Nilari's expression became serious. The ritual involves a synchronized biorhythmic exchange during physical union. And there are no risks to you. Humans are remarkably resilient. As for after, she hesitated. If successful, I'll have what I need to synthesize a cure. You'll be free to go, with a new ship and compensation for your trouble. And if it's not successful, then we try again, she said, a mischievous glint returning to her eyes. For science, of course. The tension between them was palpable, electric. Elon was acutely aware of her proximity, of the strange heat emanating from her alien body, of his own unexpected response to her. For science, he echoed, his resistance crumbling as she pressed closer. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside the small research station, a different kind of tempest was brewing, one that would change both their lives forever. The ritual chamber was nothing like Elon had imagined. Instead of the mystical, incense-filled space he'd envisioned, Nilari had simply transformed her living quarters with the touch of a few buttons. The lighting shifted to a soft blue glow, and the temperature rose to a pleasant warmth that made his skin tingle. Your expectations seem disappointed, Nilari observed, her silver eyes reflecting the ambient light as she prepared a small device on what had previously been her workstation. I guess I was expecting something more ceremonial, Elon admitted, watching as she calibrated the instrument. Chanting, maybe some candles, mysterious symbols. Nilari's laugh was like wind chimes. My people were scientists before we were mystics, Elon. The ritual is biological in nature, though there is a spiritual component. She approached him, her movements fluid and graceful. The connection between two beings during intimate contact creates energy patterns that enhance genetic transfer. That's science. The belief that those patterns carry the essence of our souls, that's the ritual part. She stood before him now, close enough that he could feel the unusual heat radiating from her azure skin. Her silver-white hair seemed to shimmer with its own inner light. Are you nervous? She asked, her voice softer than before. A little, he confessed. It's not every day I participate in an alien genetic ritual. Her lips curved into a smile. If it helps, the mechanics are quite similar to human mating practices. We've studied your species extensively. That doesn't help at all, Elon laughed. But the tension between them had shifted from awkward to something more electric, more anticipatory. Frost had been comfortably settled in a corner with what appeared to be a synthetic bone, completely unconcerned with the proceedings. Elon was grateful for the dog's easy adaptation to their strange circumstances. Nilari's fingers traced the contours of his face, her touch sending unexpected shivers down his spine. Your genetic structure is remarkable, Elon Gray. So adaptable, so resilient. Your species evolved on a planet that tried to kill you at every turn, and instead of dying out, you thrived. We're stubborn that way, he murmured, his hands finding their way to her waist, surprised at the firmness of her seemingly delicate frame. Stubborn, she repeated as if tasting the word. Yes, that quality alone has saved your kind countless times. What followed was both familiar and utterly alien to Elon. Nilari's approach to intimacy was methodical at first, almost scientific in her exploration of his responses, but there was genuine wonder in her eyes as they came together. Her skin against his created sensations he'd never experienced before. a pleasant electrical current that seemed to flow between them, intensifying with each touch, each kiss. The small device she'd prepared emitted a soft hum, recording data even as they lost themselves in each other. Elon barely noticed it, too captivated by the otherworldly experience of being with Nalari. Her silver eyes never left his, maintaining a connection that felt deeper than physical. "Your heart rate is increasing," she whispered against his ear, her voice both clinical and seductive. "Your body temperature, too. Fascinating." "Is that good for the ritual?" he managed to ask, his breathing uneven. "Very good," she assured him. "The stronger the physiological response, the more complete the genetic exchange." Time seemed to blur as they moved together in the blue-lit room. Elon had never experienced anything like it. The strange resonance between their bodies, the almost musical quality to the energy that seemed to build around them. At the peak of their union, the air itself appeared to shimmer with iridescent particles, and Nalari cried out words in a language his translator couldn't process. Afterward, they lay entwined on the narrow sleeping platform, Elon's large frame making the space even more confined than before. The tight squeeze Nalari had mentioned when first inviting him in now seemed prophetic in more ways than one. "Did it work?" he asked finally, watching as she studied the readings on her device. "Beyond my expectations," she confirmed, her expression one of scientific satisfaction mixed with something softer, more personal. "The genetic material I've collected will be enough to synthesize a treatment for my people." Elon felt a strange pride at having helped, though a part of him wondered if that was all it had been to her, a scientific procedure with a convenient biological donor. As if reading his thoughts, Nalari set aside the device and curled against his side, her blue skin still radiating that unusual warmth. "The ritual was necessary, but what happened between us was more than data collection, Elon." He smiled, pulling her closer. "Good to know I'm not just a convenient DNA sample." "Far from it," she murmured, tracing patterns on his chest. "Though there is something you should know." The sudden seriousness in her tone made him tense. "What is it?" "The genetic exchange. It wasn't entirely one-directional." Nalari propped herself up on one elbow, her silver eyes studying his reaction carefully. "The ritual creates a permanent biological connection between participants. It's how my people ensure compatibility with the genetic material we receive." Elon sat up, suddenly alert. "What kind of connection are we talking about?" "Nothing immediately noticeable, Mia," she assured him. "But over time, you may find yourself more attuned to extreme temperatures, like I am." "And she hesitated. "I may develop some of your human traits. Increased physical strength, perhaps. Enhanced healing capabilities." "So we've basically exchanged superpowers," Elon said, trying to process this new information. "In a simplified way, yes." Nalari's expression was apologetic. "I should have told you before. It wasn't just your genetic material I needed. It was the bond itself. The connection ensures the treatment will be stable." Elon ran a hand through his hair, absorbing the implications. "So we're what? Genetically married now?" "The concept doesn't translate perfectly," she said, "but there will always be a biological resonance between us. Distance won't affect it. Even across galaxies, a part of you will be with me and a part of me with you." Outside, the storm had finally begun to subside, as if it too had served its purpose and was no longer needed. Elon looked at the blue-skinned woman beside him, wondering what this unexpected bond would mean for both their futures. Elon awoke to the sound of Frost's low growl. The Samoyed stood rigid by the window, hackles raised, staring into the darkness beyond the glass. Outside, the blizzard had completely subsided, revealing a stark landscape bathed in the eerie glow of Kella's 3 moons. "What is it, boy?" Elon whispered, carefully extracting himself from Nalari's sleeping form. The blue-skinned woman didn't stir, exhausted perhaps from the energy expended during their ritual. As he approached the window, a strange sensation washed over him, a prickling awareness of the cold beyond the walls, as if he could feel the temperature without touching it. Was this already an effect of the genetic bond Nalari had mentioned? Frost's growl deepened as Elon peered into the night. At first, he saw nothing but endless snow and jagged ice formations. Then a movement caught his eye, a shadow flowing across the white terrain with unnatural speed. Nylari, he called softly, not taking his eyes from the window. We have company. She was beside him in an instant, fully alert. Her silver eyes narrowed as she followed his gaze. Vorax, she hissed, the word carrying such venom that Elon felt a chill unrelated to the weather. Friends of your? He asked, already knowing the answer. Predators, she replied, moving swiftly to a hidden panel in the wall. The reason my people are facing extinction. The panel slid open to reveal an arsenal of unfamiliar weapons. She selected 2 sleek devices that resembled pistols and handed one to Elon. Thermal disruptors, she explained. The Vorax hunt by body heat. These scramble their sensory perception. Elon hefted the weapon, appreciating its balance. You said your people needed genetic modification to develop defensive capabilities. Against these Vorax? Nylari nodded, checking the power cell on her own weapon. They appeared in our system 3 generations ago. At first, we thought they were simply another spacefaring species looking to trade. Then the disappearances began. She moved to another panel, activating a security system that sealed the windows and door with a transparent energy field. The Vorax consider my people a delicacy. Our genetic structure contains compounds that act as intoxicants in their metabolism. They don't just eat us, they get high doing it. Jesus, Elon muttered, disgust twisting his features. And the Alliance knows about this? They know, Nylari confirmed, her voice bitter. They classified it as a natural predator-prey relationship and placed the sector under quarantine rather than intervene. Scientific observation, they called it. Frost's growl became more urgent. Outside, the shadows were multiplying. 3, now 4 dark forms circling the research station. What we need, Nylari continued, checking another monitor, is what humans naturally possess. Physical strength, aggressive instinct, and most importantly, your species' remarkable ability to produce adrenaline. Kellerites lack the fight-or-flight response that makes humans such formidable survivors. Elon watched the predators' movements, assessing their patterns with the trained eye of an Alliance scout. So, the genetic material from our ritual will help my people develop the biological tools to fight back, she finished. The bond we created has already begun changing me. Can't you feel it? He could. Beyond the strange temperature awareness, there was a new connection between them, a subtle awareness of her presence, her emotional state. Right now, despite her calm exterior, he sensed her fear. How long before they break through your defenses? He asked, moving to his pack to retrieve his own weapon, a standard Alliance pulse rifle. The energy shield will hold for about an hour, she said, but they're patient hunters. They'll wait. Elon nodded, formulating a plan. Tell me everything you know about them. Weaknesses, vulnerabilities, anything. Nylari's silver eyes met his, and he felt a surge of admiration through their bond. They're physically superior to Kellerites in every way. Stronger, faster, with enhanced senses. And their exoskeletons can withstand extreme temperatures and moderate weapons fire. But, a small smile touched her lips, but they're over-specialized. They evolved to hunt heat signatures. Their actual vision is poor, especially in bright light, and they're not used to prey that fights back. Elon grinned, a predatory expression that made Nylari blink in surprise. Then we'll give them something they're not used to. He moved to his pack, pulling out various items, emergency flares, a tactical flashlight, components of his survival kit. How many Kellerites have they taken from this region? 17 in the past lunar cycle, Nylari said, watching him work with curious eyes. Mostly researchers like me, isolated and vulnerable. And how many Vorax have the Kellerites managed to kill? Her silence was answer enough. Well, Elon said, assembling a makeshift device from his supplies, that number's about to change. Humanity has a long history of turning the tables on apex predators. It's kind of our specialty. Through their bond, Nylari felt the absolute confidence radiating from him, not bravado, but the calm assurance of a species that had clawed its way to the top of the food chain through millennia of fighting things bigger and stronger than themselves. You're not afraid, she observed, wonder in her voice. Elon looked up, his gray-blue eyes gleaming with a fierce light. Oh, I'm afraid? Fear keeps you sharp, but humans have something your people need to learn. Fear doesn't have to paralyze you. It can fuel you. Outside, one of the Vorax let out a high-pitched hunting call that made Frost bare his teeth. The sound was meant to terrify prey into panicked movement, but it had the opposite effect on Elon. His focus narrowed, his muscles tensed. And through their bond, Nilari felt something new flowing into her, the unmistakable rush of adrenaline. "I think," she said slowly, her blue skin flushing slightly darker as the human hormones influenced her physiology, "I'm beginning to understand why the Alliance is so careful around humans." Elon finished his improvised device and stood to his full height, his powerful frame seeming even more imposing as he prepared for battle. They should be. Now, let's show these Vorax what happens when they hunt prey that hunts back. For the first time since the predators had appeared in her system, Nilari felt something beyond fear, a fierce, unfamiliar joy at the prospect of confrontation. It was alien to her Kellerite nature, yet it felt right, like a missing piece finally clicking into place. "You know," she said, checking her weapon one last time, "when I said it would be a tight squeeze, but to come in anyway, I never imagined we'd end up here." Elon's laugh was low and warm. "Funny how things work out." Ready to make some predators regret their dinner choice? Nilari nodded, feeling the humans' battle readiness flowing through their bond. "Ready?" "Thermal signatures are their primary hunting method," Elon confirmed, laying out his improvised devices on Nilari's workstation. "Yeah," she replied, watching his hands work with fascination. "They can detect temperature variations of less than 1 degree at a distance of 200 meters. Elon nodded, connecting the power cells from his emergency flares to a small heating element. "Then that's what we'll use against them." "Your people have been thinking about this all wrong, trying to hide or outrun them. The key isn't to avoid being detected, it's to give them too many targets." He held up the first of his creations, a small device cobbled together from parts of his survival kit and components borrowed from Nilari's lab equipment. "These will create multiple heat signatures identical to our body temperatures," he explained. "We'll place them around the perimeter, activate them sequentially. The Vorax will waste energy chasing ghosts." Nilari's silver eyes widened. "That's brilliantly simple." "Sometimes the oldest tricks work best," Elon said with a grin. "My ancestors used similar methods to hunt predators on Earth thousands of years ago. Misdirection is universal." He assembled 5 more decoys, then moved to the next phase of his plan. "You said they have poor vision, especially in bright light?" "Their visual receptors evolved for low-light hunting," Nilari confirmed. "Bright, focused light causes them physical pain and temporary blindness." Elon modified his tactical flashlight, boosting its output by connecting it to a larger power source. "This will be our offensive weapon. When they're disoriented by the decoys, we'll hit them with this." He handed her the enhanced flashlight. "You'll need to aim directly at their sensory clusters. Where on their bodies are they most vulnerable?" "The upper thorax," Nilari said, making a gesture across her own chest. "They have specialized heat-sensing organs there. Damage those, and they're effectively blind." As they finalized their preparations, Elon felt a surge of admiration through their bond. Nilari was watching him with an expression that mingled wonder and desire. "What?" he asked, pausing in his work. Your species," she said softly. "You're so adaptive. My people have been terrorized by the Vorax for generations. Yet in less than an hour, you've devised a strategy that might actually work." Elon shrugged, though he couldn't help feeling a flush of pride at her words. "Humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When your back's against the wall, you either get creative or you die." "It's more than that," Nilari insisted, moving closer to him. "There's a confidence in you, a certainty that you can overcome any obstacle. My people lost that long ago, if we ever had it." Their proximity sent a different kind of heat through Elon's body, one that had nothing to do with survival and everything to do with the growing connection between them. Through their bond, he sensed her responding to his reaction, a feedback loop of attraction that intensified with each heartbeat. "We should focus," he said, his voice rougher than intended. "The shield won't hold forever?" "Yes," she agreed, though neither of them moved away. "But when this is over?" The promise in her silver eyes made his pulse quicken. When this is over, he echoed, allowing himself a brief caress of her blue cheek before returning to his work. Outside, the Vorax had grown more aggressive, testing the energy shield with probing strikes. Through the window, Elon caught glimpses of their forms, sleek, insectoid bodies with multiple limbs ending in wicked claws, their exoskeletons a mottled gray that blended with the snowy landscape. "Time to move," Kai said, gathering the decoys. "We need to place these around the perimeter. When I deactivate the shield, we'll have exactly 30 seconds before they detect the change and attack." Nilari nodded, her earlier fear now replaced with a determined focus that Elon recognized as his own influence through their bond. "I'll take the east and north sides." "No," Elon countered. "We stay together. Frost will guard our backs." The Samoyed perked up at his name, alert and ready. Despite the danger, Elon felt a surge of affection for his loyal companion. The dog had faced countless hazards at his side without hesitation. The shield drops in 3, 2, 1. The protective barrier vanished with a soft hum. Immediately, they moved to the door, slipping out into the frigid night. The cold hit Elon like a physical blow, but he noticed it didn't affect him as severely as it should have. Another benefit of his bond with Nilari, whose people were adapted to Kella's harsh climate. They worked quickly, placing the decoys at strategic points around the station. Elon kept his pulse rifle ready, scanning constantly for movement, while Frost padded silently beside them, his keen senses alert for danger. "Last one," Elon whispered as they positioned the final decoy. "Now back inside, quickly." They had nearly reached the door when a high-pitched screech split the night. One of the Vorax had spotted them, its massive form lunging from behind an ice formation with terrifying speed. "Down!" Elon shouted, pushing Nilari aside as he brought his rifle up. The pulse blast caught the creature mid-leap, staggering it but not stopping its charge. Frost launched himself at the alien predator, his white fur bristling as he sank his teeth into one of its limbs. The Vorax shrieked, swinging the dog off with brutal force. "Frost!" Elon cried, firing again as his loyal companion tumbled across the snow. Nilari activated the enhanced flashlight, directing its beam at the Vorax's thorax. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The creature recoiled, emitting a high-frequency wail of pain as its sensory organs overloaded. "The decoys!" Nilari shouted. "Activate them now!" Elon triggered the remote detonator. Around the perimeter, the heat signatures flared to life, creating a confusing array of targets. The remaining Vorax, drawn by the sudden proliferation of prey signals, scattered in different directions, their hunting coordination disrupted. Taking advantage of the confusion, Elon and Nilari retreated into the station, dragging the injured Frost with them. The door sealed behind them just as the disoriented Vorax began to realize they'd been tricked. "Frost, buddy, you okay?" Elon knelt beside his dog, examining him for injuries. The Samoyed whined but licked his hand, seemingly more stunned than seriously hurt. "Your plan is working," Nilari said, watching the monitors as the Vorax chased phantom heat signatures around the perimeter. "They're completely disoriented." Elon joined her at the display, satisfaction flowing through him as he watched the Predator's confusion. Phase 1 complete. Now for Phase 2, turning their hunt into a trap. He activated a secondary set of commands on his remote. The decoys, which had been stationary, began to move in converging patterns, drawing the Vorax toward a central point away from the station. "What happens when they all reach the center?" Nilari asked, sensing his anticipation through their bond. Elon's smile was grim but triumphant. "They discover that humans don't just run from predators. Sometimes we hunt them back." The final decoy, larger than the others, contained more than just a heat signature. As the Vorax converged on what they thought was the largest, most vulnerable prey, Elon pressed the last button on his remote. The explosion lit up the night, a blinding flash followed by a concussive wave that shook the small station. When the light faded, the monitors showed 4 motionless Vorax forms sprawled in the snow. "You killed them," Nilari whispered, awe and disbelief mingling in her voice. "No Kellerite has ever killed even one Vorax, and you just eliminated 4. Elon checked the monitors to confirm there were no more threats lurking nearby. "They made a critical mistake," he said, turning to her with fierce intensity. They thought they were the only predators here tonight. The adrenaline of battle still coursed through them both, heightened by their bond. Nilari's silver eyes gleamed with a new emotion, a primal appreciation that transcended species. Without words, she moved into his arms, their bodies fitting together despite the difference in size, a tight squeeze that felt exactly right. The celebration of their victory was short-lived. As dawn broke over Kella's frozen landscape, Nilari's monitoring equipment began emitting a series of urgent alerts. "What is it?" Elon asked, looking up from where he was tending to Frost's minor injuries. Nilari's face had drained of color, her blue skin taking on an ashen hue. Two problems at once. First, she pointed to a pulsing dot on her scanner. A Kellarite patrol vessel is approaching. They must have detected the explosion. And the second problem, she switched the display to a different frequency. The screen filled with dozens of moving signatures, all converging on their location. The Vorax we killed were scouts. Their deaths triggered a pheromone distress signal. "The hive is coming." Elon moved to stand beside her, studying the display with tactical precision. "How many?" "At least 30, maybe more." Her voice remained steady, but through their bond, Elon felt her spike of fear. "No outpost has ever survived a hive response. They'll be here within 6 hours." Before Elon could respond, a communication alert chimed. Nilari activated the receiver and a stern Kellarite male appeared on screen. His skin was a darker blue than Nilari's, with pronounced ridges along his jawline that Elon hadn't seen on her. "Researcher Nilari," the male said, his tone formal and cold, "our sensors detected weapons discharge and explosive signatures at your location. Explain immediately." "Commander Thelen," Nilari replied with equal formality, "I was attacked by Vorax hunters. They have been neutralized." The commander's eyes widened in disbelief. "Neutralized? That's impossible. No Kellarite has ever—" "I had assistance," she interrupted, gesturing for Elon to join her in the view screen's range. The commander's shock at seeing a human was evident. "An Alliance operative? Here? This violates at least 7 protocols, researcher. You will be detained pending investigation." Elon stepped forward, his imposing frame filling the screen. "With all due respect, Commander, you have bigger problems than protocol violations. A Vorax hive response is heading this way. Based on your scanner readings, I'd say, you have about 5 hours before they reach your patrol vessel." The commander's expression shifted from outrage to alarm. "How do you know this?" "Because we triggered it," Elon said bluntly. "We killed 4 scouts. Now the hive is coming to investigate. But we also have something you need, a way to fight them." Nilari placed a hand on Elon's arm, a gesture of solidarity that didn't go unnoticed by the commander. "He's right, Thelen. This human and I have completed a genetic bonding ritual. The results are remarkable. I've already begun synthesizing a treatment that could give our people the biological tools to defend themselves." "Genetic bonding? With a human?" The commander's disgust was evident, but it was quickly replaced by calculation as he processed the implications. "You have proof this works?" "I killed 4 Vorax last night," Elon stated flatly, "and I can teach your people how to do the same." A tense silence followed as the commander deliberated. Finally, he nodded curtly. "Prepare for extraction. We'll arrive in 30 minutes. Be ready to transfer all research data." The communication ended, and Nilari turned to Elon, her silver eyes troubled. "He'll try to separate us once we're aboard." Thelen has always prioritized Kellarite genetic purity. A human Kellarite bond will be seen as contamination, regardless of its benefits. Elon pulled her close, his large hands spanning her slender waist. "Let him try. I didn't fight off alien predators just to let some bureaucrat come between us." Their bodies fit together perfectly despite their size difference. Her head tucked under his chin, her curves molding against his hard planes. Through their bond, emotions flowed freely. Determination, protectiveness, and a deepening affection that surprised them both with its intensity. "We have 30 minutes, Nilari murmured, her fingers tracing the contours of his chest. "The synthesizer needs 20 to complete the first batch of treatment." "In the other 10 minutes, Elon asked, his voice dropping to a husky whisper. Her silver eyes met his. a smile playing at her lips. "I can think of several ways to strengthen our genetic bond before we face the commander." Their coming together was more urgent this time, charged with the lingering adrenaline of battle and the knowledge that they would soon face new challenges. As before, the strange resonance between their bodies created sensations unlike anything Elon had experienced with human partners, a harmonic connection that transcended the physical. Afterward, as they hastily prepared for the patrol ship's arrival, Nilari administered the first dose of the synthesized treatment to herself. "How long before we know if it works?" Elon asked, watching as she injected the luminescent fluid into her arm. "The changes should begin immediately," she said, flexing her fingers experimentally. "My cellular structure is already primed for the modifications because of our bond." Within minutes, a subtle transformation became visible. Nilari's movements grew more fluid, more powerful. The delicate blue of her skin deepened slightly, taking on a heartier tone. Most striking was the change in her eyes. The silver irises now ringed with a hint of gray-blue, mirroring Elon's own. "How do you feel?" he asked, fascinated by the visible evidence of their genetic exchange. "Strong," she replied with wonder. "Confident, ready." She lifted a piece of equipment that would have strained her before, raising it effortlessly with one hand. "It's working, Elon. The treatment works." A proximity alert interrupted their moment of triumph. The Kellerite patrol vessel had arrived ahead of schedule. "They're in a hurry," Elon observed grimly, "probably hoping to catch us unprepared." Nilari nodded, quickly gathering data crystals containing her research. "Commander Thelen is nothing if not tactical. He'll have a containment team ready for both of us." Elon checked his weapons and signaled for Frost to stay close. "Then we'll just have to show him that humans and Kellerites together are more than he bargained for." Through the window, they watched the patrol vessel descend, a sleek silver craft that settled onto the snow with precision. The main hatch opened to reveal 6 armed Kellerite guards led by Commander Thelen himself. "Remember," Elon said, taking Nilari's hand in his much larger one, "whatever happens, we stay together. It might be a tight squeeze getting through this, but we've proven that works for us." Nilari's laugh was bright with newfound confidence. "Indeed. I invited one human into my home, and now I'm about to help change the course of my entire species." She squeezed his hand. "Best decision I ever made." As they prepared to exit the research station and face whatever came next, Elon felt something he hadn't expected to find on this frozen planet. A sense of belonging, of purpose beyond his alliance duties. Through their bond, he knew Nilari felt it too. A connection that had begun as scientific necessity, but had grown into something neither of them had anticipated. The door slid open, admitting the bitter cold and the uncertain future that awaited them. "Separate them immediately," Commander Thelen ordered as soon as Elon and Nilari boarded the patrol vessel. "The human goes to containment level 3, the researcher to medical for decontamination." 4 guards moved to flank them, weapons raised. Frost growled low in his throat, pressing against Elon's leg protectively. "I wouldn't do that if I were you," Elon warned, standing his ground. His imposing frame dwarfed the Kellerite guards, who hesitated despite their commander's orders. Nilari stepped forward, her newly enhanced physiology evident in her confident stance. "Commander, the genetic bond between us cannot be broken. Separation will cause severe physiological distress to both of us." "Preposterous," Thelen scoffed. "Guards, proceed." 2 guards grabbed Nilari's arms while the others trained their weapons on Elon. The moment they began pulling her away, both she and Elon doubled over in pain. A visible energy discharge crackled between them, forcing the guards to release her. "What is this?" Thelen demanded, stepping back in alarm. Elon straightened, fighting through the discomfort. "Exactly what she told you. Our genetic structures are linked now. Try to separate us again, and the reaction will be even stronger." The ship's medical officer, a female Kellerite with pale blue markings on her forehead, approached with a scanner. "Commander, preliminary readings confirm their claim. Their biorhythms are synchronized at a cellular level. Forced separation could cause permanent damage to both subjects." Thelen's face contorted with disgust and frustration. "Fine. Take them both to the laboratory, keep them together but under guard, and muzzle that beast Minotaurspin," he added, glaring at Frost. "The dog stays with me," Elon stated flatly. "He's already proven himself against the Vorax. You might need him before this is over." A tense standoff ensued until the ship's proximity alarm blared, cutting through the confrontation. "Commander," called the pilot from the bridge. "Vorax signatures approaching, multiple vectors. Estimated time to intercept, 20 minutes. Thelon's priorities shifted instantly. "Battle stations! Prepare defensive measures." "Your defensive measures won't work," Elon interjected. "Not against a hive response, but we can help." The commander hesitated, clearly torn between his prejudice and the imminent threat. "What do you propose?" "Give us access to your weapon systems and communication array," Elon said, "and let Nalari administer her treatment to your crew. It's your only chance." "The treatment works, Thelon," Nalari added, her voice carrying a new authority. "Look at me. I'm stronger, faster, more resilient, all qualities we need to fight the Vorax." The medical officer's scanner confirmed the changes. "Her cellular structure has been significantly enhanced, Commander. These modifications could give us an advantage." With the Vorax closing in, Thelon had no choice. "Proceed. But this doesn't end here. If we survive, there will be a full investigation." The next 15 minutes were a blur of activity. Nilari worked with the medical team to administer the treatment to key personnel, while Elon reprogrammed the ship's defensive systems based on what he'd learned about Vorax vulnerabilities. "They hunt by heat signature and rely on coordinated attacks," he explained to the tactical officer. "We need to disrupt both. Modify your shield harmonics to scramble thermal readings and prepare to deploy these." He handed over the designs for his improvised light weapons, now enhanced with the ship's superior technology. As the crew prepared for battle, Elon noticed the treatment taking effect. The Kellerite officers moved with new purpose, their traditionally cautious demeanor giving way to a more proactive approach that reminded him of human military units. "It's not just physical changes," Nalari explained, joining him at the tactical station. "The treatment affects neurochemistry too. They're experiencing human-like adrenaline responses for the first time." "Will they be able to handle it?" Elon asked, concerned about the psychological impact. Nilari smiled, the gray-blue rings in her silver eyes catching the light. "If I can, they can. It's exhilarating, actually, like being more alive than I ever knew was possible." The proximity alarm sounded again. The Vorax had arrived, a swarm of at least 40 predators, their sleek forms visible on the external cameras as they surrounded the vessel. "They're attempting to breach the hull," reported the tactical officer. "Standard shields holding at 87% and dropping." "Activate the modified harmonics," Elon ordered, falling naturally into a command role. No one, not even Thelon, questioned his authority in that moment. The ship hummed as the new shield configuration engaged. On the monitors, they watched as the Vorax suddenly scattered, confused by the disruption to their sensory perception. "Now the lights," Elon directed. Brilliant pulses erupted from the ship's external array, targeting the Predator's thoracic sensory clusters. The effect was devastating. Vorax writhed and recoiled, their coordinated attack dissolving into chaos. "Weapons free," Thelon commanded, his earlier skepticism replaced by grim determination. The enhanced Kellerite gunners responded with precision that would have been impossible before the treatment, picking off disoriented Vorax with surgical strikes. For the first time in their species' history, the Kellerites were fighting back effectively against their tormentors. But the Vorax were adaptable. A subset of the swarm retreated, regrouped, and changed tactics, focusing their attack on a single section of the hull. "They're learning," Elon warned. "Prepare for breach containment." The hull integrity alarm blared as the concentrated assault created a small rupture in the cargo section. 3 Vorax slipped inside before emergency force fields sealed the breach. "We need to contain them before they reach the crew quarters," Nilari said, already moving toward the armory with Elon and Frost at her side. Armed with the enhanced light weapons and conventional blasters, they headed to intercept the intruders. 4 Kellerite security officers, newly treated and eager to test their enhanced abilities, joined them. The confrontation in the cargo bay was fierce but decisive. The Vorax, accustomed to terrorizing helpless Kellerite prey, found themselves facing opponents who could match their speed and strength. Elon led the tactical approach, using Frost's keen senses to track the predators, while Nylari coordinated the Kellerite officers with newfound battlefield awareness. When the last Vorax fell, a cheer erupted from the Kellerite team, an emotional response that would have been considered inappropriate in their culture before the treatment. "Is this what it's always like for humans?" asked one officer, eyes wide with the lingering rush of combat. "This feeling of power?" "Not power," Elon corrected. "Capability. Humans aren't inherently stronger than other species. We've just never accepted being prey." The battle outside continued, but the tide had turned. The Vorax, facing unexpected resistance and losing numbers rapidly, finally retreated, disappearing into Kella's frozen wilderness. In the aftermath, Commander Thelen approached Elon and Nylari on the bridge, his demeanor transformed. The treatment had affected him too, his posture more upright, his movements more decisive. "I owe you both an apology," he said, the words clearly difficult for him. "Your methods, unorthodox as they are, have saved this vessel and possibly our entire species." "The treatment works," Nylari said, "and it can be replicated for all Kellerites. We never have to be victims again." Thelen nodded, then addressed Elon directly. "The Alliance quarantined our sector because they deemed us too passive to be effective partners. Too vulnerable. But with this change?" He straightened to his full height, still a head shorter than Elon, but no less dignified. "Perhaps it's time for a new diplomatic approach." "I'd be happy to serve as a liaison," Elon offered, "assuming you're willing to overlook my protocol violations. Considering you've just helped us achieve our first victory against the Vorax in 3 generations, I think we can make an exception." Thelen actually smiled, another effect of the treatment's influence on Kellerite emotional expression. 6 months later, Elon stood at the viewport of the newly established Human-Kellerite Joint Research Station, watching as a shuttle arrived carrying the latest group of Alliance scientists. Beside him, Nylari leaned against his broad chest, her blue skin contrasting beautifully with his tanned arm wrapped around her shoulders. Their bond had only strengthened with time. The genetic exchange had stabilized, giving each of them the best traits of both species without diminishing their unique identities. Nylari maintained her Kellerite intuition and adaptability to extreme environments, while gaining human resilience and emotional range. Elon found himself more attuned to subtle energy patterns and blessed with enhanced cold resistance that made Kella's harsh climate almost pleasant. "The new treatments are showing a 98% success rate," Nylari reported, reviewing data on her pad. "And the cultural integration programs are exceeding expectations. Turns out humans and Kellerites complement each other remarkably well." "Who would have thought?" Elon teased, pulling her closer. "All it took was one bulky human man needing shelter and one beautiful alien woman willing to make room in her small house." Nylari laughed, the sound still a delight to his ears. It was a tight squeeze, but worth it. Frost padded over to join them, his white coat gleaming in the station's lights. The Samoyed had become something of a mascot for the joint operation, beloved by Kellerites, who had never experienced the simple joy of a dog's companionship. As they watched the shuttle dock, Elon reflected on the strange path that had brought him here, a navigation malfunction, a storm that wasn't unnatural, a desperate alien scientist, and a bond that had changed 2 species forever. "No regrets?" he asked, though their connection let him feel her contentment already. Nylari turned in his arms, her silver blue eyes meeting his. "Not one, though I do wonder what would have happened if you'd knocked on someone else's door that night." "I didn't," he said simply, bending to kiss her. "Some things just fit perfectly, tight squeeze or not."